Hello, and today I'd like to discuss lobbying and campaign contributions from corporations. This debate is necessarily not black and white, but very few concepts in law are, so I tried to narrow it down to two schools of thought being responsible for the corruption in lobbying. The representatives we choose ourselves, or the representatives that elect the other ones, and systematically that our system is broken and that we would need to reform. Lobbying started from the British Parliament in the 1640s and is a practice of quid pro quo. Organizations and corporations influencing members of legislative branch for a favor, often with laws and regulations, and often bribed with financial contributions. The birth of politics in America included lobbying outside campaign contributions, but it was not regulated due to the lack of regulation in general Articles of Confederation. Since it isn't feasible, though, for a person themselves to develop the money for each campaign, they did allow outside people. But the problem was mainly with the BCRA law in 2002, a section of it that obligates the entities that contributed to an election that cannot communicate electronically their political views within 60 days of election and 30 days within a primary. This is, however, censoring the freedom of speech, and we will get into that case that recognizes as problem Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission. Citizens United said that their corporation is an entity along with us citizens, and for the government to deny the corporation the right to speak is denying their First Amendment. Now, it is arguable that corporations are not entities like you and I. However, they are entities of millions of people that produce millions of dollars. But the Supreme Court saw it differently. They ruled in favor with them after they released a movie of Hillary Clinton, a defamatory one. After this decision, the controversies spiked because the people felt like they were losing their voice because corporations influence with their money. So we see this problem, and there's two schools of thoughts: if it was caused by the people that we elected, or if it was going to happen no matter what. For human error, Teachout is an attorney, professor, and author. And she claims that politicians are drawn by money and power. An example of this is legislators avoiding criminalization of bribery until after Civil War. And that the Founding Fathers did not approve of this corruption because they looked up to European values. And that Justice Kennedy, in the case, acknowledged that the government had an interest in combating corruption, but it did not, essentially just because it could benefit more from just only including quid pro quo exchanges. Systematically, it is argued that the Constitution was already set to fail because it is vague writing. However, you need a vote of every state, so they had to make it vague. Another vote for is systematically. Chief Justice John Roberts said the problems of influence is fear and favor. Another is the hydraulics of money. It's a concept that America is included in a bigger scheme. It's too big of a concept to change, even if we want to change it within the country. It is connected to the world economy, in touch with majority of countries, and is one of the leaders in imports. An example of when we try to change the campaign contributions was assessments. Assessments were politicians taking a portion of a supporter's paycheck. So if you supported Donald Trump or Joe Biden, they would take a portion of your paycheck. Obviously, now that is not in progress.